Module 1, Unit 5, Troubleshooting and Support. In this unit, our objective is to describe the basic support and troubleshooting procedures. You will be aware how our troubleshooting is being executed, what are the concepts behind troubleshooting, and what is technical support. The basics, not in a level that you will be a technical IT, but this is a good start as an individual, applicable to everyone. And then our goal is also is to use the tools and the websites in order to get help, to obtain support, and learn how to search for help and advice in solving and troubleshooting a problem. So, support and troubleshooting. What is the first thing that comes into your mind? This is about problem solving, diba? This is about resolving an issue, or someone needs help. We provide support like how to do this and how to do that, where am I going, where I should look. So it requires it's actually a skill. It's an approach as well. When we say a skill, you have the necessary knowledge and skills to solve the problem and be able to resolve it and help someone in trouble, and an approach in a sense that you are helping a person. You are I mean, when you are facing a problem, how do you handle it, how do you do it, diba? It's actually is a problem solving skills and an approach that how you diagnose a problem. Yan ang ano eh, yan ang background and concept behind troubleshooting and support. You need to know about the causes, the symptoms, and consequences. Actually, lalo na sa mga technical level, they deal with this in detail, and they even track uh, this problem. No? Meron mga recurring problem kasi, meron din tinatawag na intermittent problem. So these are the things that you will be involved with when we say troubleshooting, support and troubleshooting, I mean. And then at the business level, naman, those are non-technical people or those who are users, they understand, they should need to understand this is what we do. This is IT support do. And these are the situation naman ng mga user that IT support should understand. So at the business level overall, user or technical support, they appreciate what needs to be done. They appreciate what are being accomplished, and then we appreciate and identify the priorities and the business needs, lalo na sa industry of in the world of being an IT professional. So, in troubleshooting, merong model, merong procedure na ginagawa. And from what CompTIA is promoting is somehow it's very universal in general. Not only I say this, but in practice, I agree with them. And this is also what I've learned while I was starting in IT or and then even in engineering. This meron troubleshooting method, meron model that they should follow. We will discuss this in a way for you to be aware, and some of them and some of you will proceed no, as they pursue their career. So when you are troubleshooting, meron tinatawag na at first, what do you need to do is, of course, identify the problem. This is the stage where you know collect all the information and then try to duplicate the problem if you were able to identify it correctly, and then if possible, you also have to ask the question, ano, the users. You know, alam mo yung symptoms, and then sometimes you have to ask na ano ba yung dati, what are being changed, and then you need to see different perspectives individually and from the user standpoint of someone asking for help. So generally, it is about this is how you identify the problem. The next step is to research. When you identify the problem, oh, this is a problem, so what about it? So what do I know about it? So for example, meron sinasabing application problem. So you research about the application, background information, and then sino vendor, sino manufacturer, date of release. Maraming way to research about it. Meron tinatawag na knowledge base. Knowledge base, this is actually a database, a record of information related to the problem or related to the to the system that needs to be resolved. And then you can also have it on the internet. Knowledge base, usually it's locally accessed. Internet is publicly accessed, and it's not really specific compared with knowledge base. Internet is general. You see a lot of forums, community that's discussing a different kind of problem, sometimes the same problem with different discussions. So you research generally to know more about the problem after you identify it, before you actually starting troubleshooting. And then you establish a theory of probable cause, meaning when you identify the problem and you know more about the background, about the problem, the information related to the problem, you start with an educational assumption that, oh, this could be it. And one of the tricks is actually you have to ask. Sometimes, guys, one of my experiences, I jump onto the into the question or to the problem directly without asking. Na sana na itanong mo muna na napadali yung trabaho, di ba? Isa nangyayari yan eh. Um, and it is common mistake, but we forget the most simple ones, like ask the most obvious, what happened, what's been changed. Sometimes may mga set of questions para you don't have to think from scratch na ito yung sequence of discussion that you need to do when you're troubleshooting. So you don't have to, I mean, the next thing is when you establish a theory, you have to consider different approaches. Hindi lang yung single faceted, single perspective. You might be right on one perspective, but there could be another thing on another's perspective. Or sometimes you don't see it from one angle. That's another way to establish the theory. I mean, why I'm not seeing this but it's doing like this, parang ganun ba? And then meron din tinatawag na divide and conquer. Yun ito yung sinesegregate mo yung ano issues. Isa hati-hati mo, ano ba related to, hardware related, software related, user related. Those are the things, an example of dividing and conquer. And then once you come up with a theory that this is the probable cause, you implement, you try, you test it. That's what it means when you test the theory, you try to do it. Lalo na pag confirmed. If it's not confirmed, there's an extra step na you need to be aware. But the most obvious thing is to try the confirmed one. You execute it. That will solve the problem. If not resolved, then go back to your theory. Balik ka ulit. And then, if theory is not confirmed, then you need to somehow establish a new one. And there are procedures at sa business level na pag ang problem is ano, for example prolonged or meron mga level ng difficulty, meron tinatawag na escalate. Escalate meaning you had to ask for help, you notify your superiors na it requires a higher authority, it requires an advanced skills to solve the problem. Pag na-stuck ka na, you escalate. Minsan naman, once you identify that the problem is too high from or beyond your access, beyond your authority, you need to escalate. And then you establish plan of action. You know? Well, you come up with a theory and then you have to idea now how to do it. You need to come up with a plan. Where are you gonna start? When are you gonna start? So may mga steps ka na kung ano gagawin. And meron ka na rin, not only steps, but meron ka na rin tools. You need to plan that. Hindi yung, alam ko na, punta na ako doon. No. Sometimes, when you know it, you also need to know na, do I have the tools that I need to resolve this? Do I have the necessary, what is this? manpower to solve this? Itong pag-solve niyan, but are we already aware na kailangan ng dalawang tao dyan? O kailangan ng tatlong tao dyan? And sometimes you're aware now, isang tao lang pala to. Di ba? And then, you plan it, and then once you come up with the plan, you implement. Part of the implementation as well is to escalate if it involves a person with higher authority. Now, once you implement the solution, of course, you need to test the functionality that you're trying to solve from um, minimal functions to overall. Itinitest lahat yan, verify na, problem solved. And once everything is solved, everything is fixed, it's very important is to document. Ito ang most not only the technical side but from even from a user side na when the problem has been solved, pag natulungan na siya, so he write down na itong ginawa, ito ang contact person, these are the information related to this. So it saves you a lot of time, saves you a lot of effort if the problem occurs again. So these are actually are the most taken for granted sa troubleshooting. At the end of the day, parang ano yan eh, parang ano yan, parang even sa gawain sa bahay, when you do something, try to clean up, no? And document, record, write it down. Now, so actually, na-discuss ko na yung more of the some of the details about troubleshooting process, not troubleshooting model. So it's the same thing. If you're gonna expand it more, when you're identifying the problem, it comes with a set of questions. You need to you have questions starting from the user itself to the nature of the problem, the time of its occurrence, and then the history, like changes. And then this problem is one of the to identify the problem if it is if you can duplicate the problem, this is the kind of problem that you can solve outright. It's not like a problem that's something really new or very superficial. Because if you can do the same process and come up with the same problem, that's what you mean by duplicating the problem. Meaning you are identifying the problem because you can do it, you can replicate it, duplicate it, and come up with the same symptoms. That's you part of identification ng identifying the problem is to verify it. And then yeah, we approach multiple problems individually. You don't have to guess everything or you don't have to write down everything, but you need to come up with multiple approach. Lalo na pag if it is a new problem. And then yan, sa kasama dyan, di ba, we gather and research and lalo, kahit even the symptoms. And that leads you to understand the problem. And when you to understand it more, of course, you need to ask questions. As the most obvious, as I said, may mga divide and conquer na diniscuss natin, and then yung multiple approaches you need to consider, and then you test the theory. That's how you do it in troubleshooting, di ba? And then, when necessary, you escalate the problem. When you are resolving and documenting a problem, actually, di ba? From this image, you actually, when you identify the problem, you identify also the source. And then by the name, and then some information if it is related to anyone, what department, sometimes. Yung mga na-experience nyo na ba to? Di ba? Minsan you call for service, may mga issues, may mga ticket silang tinatawag o mga reference number that you have you have a problem that you have reported, that you have a basis na it's been acknowledged, been received, and it's been recorded, and it's on its way. So it comes with the name, description, and then other details like date and time, and then priority or severity sometimes. Kung priority, if it is just normal or medium or high, or severity, how complicated the problem is, and then if you have supporting documents or images that you need to attach, may mga trouble ticket na ginagawa dyan. And then that's part of resolving and documenting the problem. And in order for you to establish a plan of action, you need to choose or decide which one. Is it for repair? Is it repairable actually? or we just had to replace. And then actually the word, or to ignore because it's irrelevant or actually unnecessary. No, when you implemented the solution, that's also part of resolving and documenting a problem. And then you verify the system functionality. Ito yung we discussed na you need to test from minimal functions to overall functions. And then, of course, yung documentation, guys, it's not only that I'm repeating this over and over, but it's a best practice and it's been mentioned many times. And there are so many cases. Documentation plays a very important role when you are resolving, documenting a problem. So let's say, for example, no, when you are resolving a troubleshooting a PC issues. So startup when you are powering on sa startup process, ano unang ginagawa ng computer? No, merong tinatawag na power on self test. And the basic input software itself or the Wi-Fi, this is the firmware that runs on the computer. It comes also with the test functions. Now, as you power on the computer, as it boots up actually, checking the hardware, checking the components, checking the memory status and everything, yun ang sinasabi dyan, power on self-test. And then, you check, eto maririnig mo, meron kang beep sound, beep, if it is okay. If there's an error, multiple beeps. Minsan, some combination of beeps represent a problem. It tells you right away na where to look at or where to start. And then, physical check. Ito yung tinatawag na you have to check the power. Nakaplug ba yan? Tama ba ang voltage niyan? Tama ba ang ampere niyan? Or is it independent power? It is a safe power. Ganon. O yung mga LEDs, ito yung mga indicator sa harap ng CPU. If it is blinking or not, sometimes it doesn't blink when there is power. Sometimes from the blinking alone, the LEDs alone will tell you, aside from the sound, the nature of the problem. It is an indicator. No, it's either from LED or from the sound. During post-test, this is what I've said na maraming beeps. No? And then meron din yung screen. Sometimes it's easily forgotten na hindi naka-plug na maayos o kaya loosen lang. And then before we suspect na sira monitor. Yung pala minsan naka-off lang. So check the connection, check the power as it boots up. Actually, when you power on, mabilis ang pangyayari yan eh. Magsa-sound, magbi-beep, may LED, and then makikita mo may display na yung screen. Yung usually naka-display sa screen kagad kung saan yung vendor ng computer, di ba? So, when you are troubleshooting, for example, the peripheral devices, you always have to identify the problem. Before you identify, you verify the initial condition from connection and the type of connectors. So itong mga troubleshooting, no, sa PC issues, these are the common ones. It's been experienced many times. It's been documented, but not necessarily mean we overlook the the most common, the most obvious, and the typical process. Now, when you are when it comes to support and troubleshooting, merong escalation, may mga resources, and you need to know where to get a support. So it starts from the manual itself. Every equipment comes with the manual. May mga user guide, may mga installation manual, may configuration guide, may admin guide. Yung hardware manual, makikita mo dyan. At the end of the page, meron dyan troubleshooting and maintenance. It gives you the common symptoms and the probable action, probable solution usually. Ito, you can download this or sometimes in a printed form, kasama na. But it becomes more online na kasi just there's a paperless movement, which I agree, no. So these are manufacturer documentation actually. And second thing is you can go online, you can download the same documentation, no? And then you can also get the necessary device drivers, software updates from the vendor itself. It is important na if you have a Dell computer, if you have an HP computer, go directly na lang sa HP. It's all available. Like for example, if you have a sound problem and you come up with the problem na, oh, device driver ko is obsolete or old or somehow it's not working properly after checking all the connections are okay. So it's a device driver na you need to update. You go to the website. Before kasi, it comes with the hardware in mga device driver na installer. But when you need the updated one, you need to go online. When operating systems are updating to the level na you need to update as well the device drivers, these vendors always, most of the time, come up with the patches also or with the latest release that you can get directly. Again, directly to the vendor itself. That's the best source. Kesa kung saan nyo lang galing, it could be most of the time are infected ones or may mga virus na kasama. Ito, where to get the support. Dito pa lang you can do it. But if, for example, very simple ones or you're not online, and if it is really related to somehow to user or operational procedures, may mga built-in helps and tips ang Windows. Lalo na ngayon na if it is lalo na pag ano ngayon and then if it is online and connected, you can just open this window, the tips, and then you can see how to set things up, get connected. Meron ng help na built-in not only from Windows but also from other applications like other applications you use in graphics or in gaming. May mga help na rin yan. Those are the common things. They are prepared for it somehow. They have anticipated your need. That's actually adds value if you're gonna look it at the business level sa company or sa vendor. But going for help from a user standpoint, be aware na may mga help tips na rin and help that you can get locally that comes with the software, operating system, or application. Yung mga step-by-step help that you can find. And then you have to understand as well this technical support team. When they contact you, be aware na of course it's standard that they get you need to have the name and contact information. Either you are contacting the technical support or the technical support are reaching out to you. These are the common things that you need to be aware or you need to be ready. Minsan kasi pag tawag mo, you don't have what software you're using, what problem that you're not ready to describe the problem. So isa-isa natin, you need the name and contact information. That's very fundamental. And then be ready na and be ensured that you are aware that the software, if it is software related or hardware related problem. And to one step further, may mga tinatanong dyan yung version number. Tatanong ka, anong model number, anong version number? That's all the things. Or you can just get it within the software itself. Or they will ask you the model and serial number of the device o build date and then the purchase date. Lalo na pag vendor na nakausap nyo, sabi na, server, when did you bought this? When did you get this? And sometimes they have issues. Rarely happens na when it was built and they have released already the new ones and you got the old ones, something like that. And be ready na when you are discussing about when you are talking with the technical support, you spend the time to describe the problem. And kasi may mga cases na even the user itself na this is a problem, I solve it. I have no time. Or sometimes they are already disappointed, no, about what's about the problem. And then another sources from technical support is meron tinatawag na technical community group. This is another way to say na yung mga forums, blogs, no, these they have a site where they document publicly or they are asking publicly about the nature of the problem. Makikita mo doon, yun nga lang, hindi siya organized. Unlike nung tickets or knowledge-based sources na it's very organized in searching and browsing. And this one, sometimes it's helpful and sometimes very time-consuming. But if you are out of help, no one else, and is still looking for a solution, meron din tinatawag na technical community groups. And then, di ba, usually we always Google, even me, we Google about some problems that new to us or we already know, or we try to look back. No, we search from it. May mga keywords. You need to be somehow I mean, you need to have the right word to Google. Ito ang learning experience I would like to share to you na when all other else when all of the resources are, have been taken into consideration, and then you need to Google, even if it's your first approach or not. No, when we Google, use the right word. Know that you are searching for the right problem, so you can narrow it down, you can get information in a more specific or relevant, in a most possible way. Kasi kung masyadong generic, masyadong lalo na pag irrelevant, it's a waste of time. Just a tip of advice from me, no, when you're using a search engine. Now in this unit, it is recommended by CompTIA to practice troubleshooting and getting support using a search engine. I mean, just for exercise, it's recommended. It's not mandatory. Just to exercise and practice how to get troubleshooting, how to get some help, and how to contact a troubleshooting team, either directly to the vendor or through a what is this? A community group. So in this unit, we describe the basic support and troubleshooting procedures. We actually discuss more of it in a step by step, not in a level that you have to be a technical person, but that's the foundation of troubleshooting and support that you will experience. And then we also discuss the possible sources, the help that we can get. We use the websites to access the vendor information or to get the community group. And when it comes to troubleshooting, the basic of troubleshooting and support of IT. I hope this has been informative to you. See you on the next unit. Thank you.